So I think lifestyle options, again, not specific necessarily to polymyositis, but certainly including it, is that often these affect people in the prime of their life. And so lifestyle becomes one of self-care. Frequently, people who are working jobs with stressful hours, long hours, I sometimes do ask them to take a break to take care of themselves. Most people can remain employed and have a wonderful quality of life, but it often is a conversation to have a reality check, realizing that there may be some time off and needing to care for oneself more than usual. I find that patients really report a lot of fatigue and decreased muscle endurance. And I think it takes a little bit of time to know one's body and to be able essentially to titrate the amount of activity, really for lack of a better word, that you do based on what you've learned from the previous day and the previous week. So I think that lifestyle becomes one that's tailored to you, that you figure out on a day-to-day trial and error basis. People always ask about diet and autoimmune disease, and I think the really sad part about it is that diet is underappreciated in general in health, and physicians are not always trained to concentrate on diet. I would say that's one of the number one questions I get asked from patients, and really what the literature would say is that we don't know. I think it probably goes without saying that common sense is to avoid processed foods, to have a whole foods approach, and to try to maintain normal weight, particularly in muscle diseases. The reason that weight control is important is not only that one is actually carrying around a lot of weight and it's hard when your muscles are affected and you're weaker, but also that there's a fair amount of research that shows that every little fat cell is actually an inflammatory cell unto itself. So with any weight loss, you're likely reducing your inflammatory burden. So I think the main tenets of diet are whole foods, decrease processed foods, and try to maintain a normal weight. People ask often about protein and whether protein is good for the muscle. In general, protein keeps you full and is probably a reasonable source of calories and energy. But again, there's no specific studies that focus on the composition of diet and polymyositis or really other autoimmune diseases to a great extent. Yeah, I think people ask a lot about what was called alternative medicine not too long ago, and now is called complementary medicine, which I think is a better term because I think that we can each learn from each other in those disciplines where allopathic or traditional medicine can certainly learn from our counterparts in holistic health. Acupuncture is helpful for some. Once again, this is not studied rigorously, but empirically, many people find it helpful to reduce the tension in the muscle or just overall have a feeling of balance and feeling well. As far as supplements, some people take creatine, which is a muscle enhancing supplement. Again, there really is not a whole lot of data that says it's helpful, but there's relatively little harm. And so I usually tell patients if they want to try it, to give themselves a 3-month trial. I think the last supplement that's worth discussing is vitamin D. Vitamin D is generally deficient in so many Americans, and that's for a variety of reasons, like wearing sunscreen appropriately, probably not having as much sun exposure, and that we don't get a lot from food sources. Vitamin D probably has a unique component in the muscle because some of the receptors for vitamin D actually lie in the muscle. So it's a unique thought that optimizing vitamin D may in fact help muscle strength. However, it again hasn't been studied rigorously just yet. So I guess the last things that I would say regarding lifestyle are that self-care is such an important part of healing. And I think beyond medicines, which have some side effects, one needs to care for themselves holistically. Massage, meditation, and really just taking a holistic approach in addition to the medications your doctors may prescribe is an incredibly important part of not only fighting the disease, but doing that by getting well.